Then let's call this meeting of MSRAC to order at 9 o'clock on January 9th. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from November 11th, 2025, since we did not have a meeting in December. So
That's right, we didn't, did we?
the minutes are 2 months old. Does anybody have any comments or motion on the minutes from November?
Me? Joanne always has a minor correction.
She's on mute.
Well, her phone's not on mute.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah, her other one is.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Okay,
And I'll
there we
second.
go.
I'm here. Hey, are you here?
Yep.
Oh, you can hear me now. Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, I was going to make the motion, so go ahead. They look good.
And a second on the floor. Does anybody?
So the motion was Ken, the second was Norma. For my sake, for the minutes,
Yes.
please, thank you.
Okay.
Any further comments? All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have approved minutes with no typos.
Great job.
So let's move along our agenda to item 3, correspondence.
There's no correspondence that's not related to an agenda.
Okay. Item 4, citizen comments.
Without other citizens at the Mo.
Item 5, business. The first item is the Community Investment Fund grant projects.
We have closed most of the document loop. I made a point of sending an email to the person Slater's office who's assisting him, because there were 3 outstanding pieces that our attorney had to provide to close. One is an opinion about counsel, and 2 of them were title related documents. So she responded, I saw her response this morning. They've sent over the opinion of outside counsel, and the title search has been ordered. Apparently, this is a very complex title search, however, because they've got to go back to 1914.
Or which piece, for Swanson Park or something?
For 65 Main.
Oh, 65. Okay.
Yeah, so they've got to go. I mean, in both cases, for both of the big grants, the buildings are ancient.
Right.
So in both cases, that would be the case, but the title search is long closed on 9/29. So yeah, this would be for the 65 Main. So that's where we are. And once those documents loops are closed, I am assured that DECD will turn the contract around to me within 30 days. I think at the meeting, I had forgotten that we still had those outstanding. So I think I told them at the time it was 30 days, roughly 30 days. So longer than that. Joanne, I'm gonna mute your non-phone because there's a lot of background noise.
I'm not doing anything. What are you hearing? I'm literally sitting here doing nothing.
Yours is the only one that could be giving us background noise.
Oh, okay. That's weird because I have nothing here, so.
Okay, well, just
All right.
take it off if you need to.
Sure, will do.
Okay. Where were we? Oh, the SIP grant.
Right.
And you talked to Tristan.
Yes, I don't know, the committee members recall, like several months ago, I asked Tristan to send me the calculations and the design of the stormwater quality basin that potentially might go near Duhamel Pond. It's one of the bid alternates that would help the town with the compliance with the MS4 permit. And so he sent me all the calculations and everything, and I had some comments. I thought it could be smaller because they were diverting almost like all of the drainage to it. And like the concept is just to treat the first flush, like the first inch of rain, which would result in much less disturbance to the park area. So he's going to work on that. So I had like a 15-minute Zoom call with him on Wednesday. So he's going to kind of rework that. And since I had him, you know, on the call, I asked him how everything else was going, and the DOT is like all set. He confirmed that they just had to add a sheet to their drawings. It was a CONDOT standard detail sheet, and that was the only like the last comment for DOT. So
Is that the redoing of the
Main Street,
intersection with Main?
Yes.
it's everything, yeah.
So he's got a final concept? They've approved it?
yes,
Have we seen it?
I think it was the one that was suggested that allowed for the pulling over of the oil truck and everything. That's my understanding.
Because we were waiting for that approval to see how that was gonna shake out.
Right.
Yeah, and it's been a while since Tristan told us that he had his comments back from DOT, but none of the comments that he mentioned in that said the DOT wanted to change that configuration.
Well, he was still waiting for input from them over the last several months. That was like snail's pace being moved.
Right, and since it has been several months, I think that in November when we talked to him, he said he thought it was pretty much set, and now we've got it to the point where there was only like one paperwork minor comment, but it is my understanding that they kept with that design that you guys talked about and proposed that would allow for the pullover of the vehicle.
Well, because of the neighborhood and how it's used.
Right, exactly. So that's my understanding.
Yeah, that was my understanding too,
Okay.
so, yeah.
So when will we get
So when you
Final
talked
copy of
to
that.
Tristan, did he say he had the letter from DOT or he just had a
Yeah.
verbal?
No, he had the letter that said your project, well, usually the way the letter says is your project is denied because you need to provide this thing. And the thing that they needed to provide was literally add to your set of plans this one CONDOT standard sheet. It's probably their standard sheet for road cuts, how they want the pavement replaced. So that was literally the only comment. So essentially, it's approved.
Okay. So I'll just connect with Tristan and say whatever documentation he has verifying that we are good with DOT is what I will need. Because I will have to send that to DECD for their approval as well. Oh, no, he came up with the manual for the,
Yes.
it's the manual for the job that I have to
Yes.
send to DOT, to DECD.
Yeah, I didn't think DECD would get involved in like that kind of permitting, like DOT, but I don't know,
Well, the manual has to do with the bid docs, right?
Yeah, well, the project manual or the construction specifications. That I can see DECD, that has all the legal language, reviewing and approving, but I'm not sure how.
I don't know. They just keep asking me to send everything, so I just
Okay,
send it.
okay.
And they can look or not look at whatever they like. And then,
I'm sure Tristan can give you a copy of that letter that
yeah.
shows that one outstanding.
Yeah, if he's got it, then I will, I'll just follow up with him on that.
So the contract documents, it looked like they were, I don't know, maybe 80% complete. They sent a set to Tira and I to review, and we both had a couple comments, like they referred to it as the purchasing department instead of the selectman's office, you know, in the bid documents, and they hadn't yet incorporated any alternates into the contractor's bid sheet, so I reminded them of that. And I mean, maybe we should ask Tristan for our next meeting if he can put together the whatever it would be, the 80% package.
Yeah.
And then we can have him come to the meeting and put it up on the screen and.
Yeah, I think that, in fact, I wasn't sure if Tristan was planning on dialing in today.
He said because he talked to me on Wednesday and there wasn't anything
fine.
new that he would.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, yeah, so that's where we are. I guess just tangentially to the SIF grant, since that does include 65 Main, right after this meeting, some of the members of the board of directors for the 501c3 are having a quick meeting to amend our articles of incorporation so that I've been trying to get the filings with the state and the Fed correct. And I've had assistance from Yukon Transactional Law Clinic, but apparently we need to amend the articles of incorporation again, so we're gonna do that after. I'm trying to slam this stuff all together very quickly because there's a grant opportunity through Community Foundation for Eastern Connecticut that could fund a capacity building contract with a development group that specializes in helping nonprofits build out their boards. Because right now I'm the president of that board, and that cannot stay the case. I'm like a placeholder just trying to get the thing off the ground. So that grant is due a week from today. And I haven't started it because I've been trying to put stuff together. So I'm gonna have 3 days to do that next week, kind of like the one we threw together. But I did have a conversation with the foundation, and they're at least amenable to the application. So I think we've got a decent chance of getting the funding. It's like a $32,000 contract from Harvest Development Group is the name of the organization. The board had a presentation from them in, I don't know, October, November. I want to say November. And they've sent us a proposal. Hi, Robert. And everybody on the board really liked it. And I think we all recognize that that's the solution for this entity, that if it's left in my distracted hands to be like one thing among millions that I'm doing on behalf of the town, but not really on behalf of the town because it's now a 501c3, that is not a recipe for success. So that's where we are with that piece of it. So tangential to the SIF grant, but definitely related because that capacity building project would probably be simultaneous with the renovation. Speaking of the renovation, we did approve Silver Petrocelli to do the remaining design. Santos and I have seen their draft contract. We sent them back a couple of comments to amend that contract. We just need the amended contract back, then we'll sign it, and then they can be off there completing the design, and they'll create the bid docs, and hopefully by the time they get that ready to go out to bid, we'll be able to pay them because the SIF grant will have been finalized.
Right. Well, what's capacity building? It's probably a silly question, but what do you mean by a capacity building?
So the board of directors, as it's constituted, well, it was 9, and then Allison Bota moved back to Maine, so we actually have a vacancy. It's 8 people who are interested in moving the 501c3 forward and getting the organization off the ground. So it's me and Nick. Brian is the treasurer. Jocelyn from Connecticut RC&D is the secretary. So those are the 4 officers. And then the other 4 members are Carl from Teague, Jeff Bolte, Maura from ECCD, and L. Sherman from the chamber. So everybody who is involved has at least a tangential interest in the success of the project, but I would say in no case is it someone who can be like the dedicated leader on the project. Obviously, at this point in the project, I'm the most logical person to fulfill that role. But so the capacity building is to find truly dedicated board members who will put in the time and energy, building out strategies for fundraising, for program development. So that's like stuff that we can do locally, but we wouldn't necessarily be delivering at the highest quality, and
Okay.
we want that to be the highest quality. So like that. And I'm sure I'll stay on the board, and many of us will stay on the board, but I can't be the leader.
Right, understood. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's see. Oh, yeah, and maybe next month we can ask, well, since the grant isn't finalized yet, whether it would be too premature to go out to bid. I mean, this would be like a great time of year if Freeman can kind of wrap it up to go out to bid for a construction project next summer.
In theory, I can be undertaking any activities related to the SIF grant. They would be reimbursable. However, we didn't promise any match. So anything that we're doing has to be something that I can either put off paying until the grant is finalized, or that's going to take so long to process that by the time it's done, I will have the grant.
I think Freeman's under contract to put it out to bid, so it would
They,
be only I think they are, aren't they?
I believe they are as well.
So,
If they are not, then that also would be included in the SIF funds, but I think that the original contract did include bid as well.
well, that would be good, because even if they say put it out to bid in March, I mean, the contractor, by the time you do all the paperwork and everything, the contractor wouldn't be ready to do anything, say till May, and by then hopefully the grant would be in place.
I would say if the grant's not in place by May, I'm just gonna kill myself.
I don't know, what do you guys think about that? Does that make sense? Kind of, I mean,
If it's something we could do, let's do it.
We do it as long as we're covered by funds,
yeah, because,
because you can't put the town out on the limb where grant falls, whatever falls through, and then we're on the hook for spending that. money.
right,
Yeah, especially the way the budget's going.
right.
Yeah.
So they don't, so the town wouldn't enter into contract with the contractor, but they could still have them lined up.
Yeah,
It
we
takes a
could, we
couple
could
months.
we could even enter into contract with the contractor as long as the contractor's not asking for a deposit. Right, but most contractors on that would ask for at least a partial deposit, unlike an engineering firm where it's less likely, I think, but. If they're fronting stuff for materials, obviously, we have to expect that they would want deposits, so, yeah, anything that doesn't lead us
Okay.
to immediately having to pay funds until the grant is finalized is fair game.
All right. Does anybody have anything else on the community investment
I do,
project?
I do.
All right,
So I'm not an official member of the board, however, so HUD has changed every year they come up with different qualified areas for difficult developmental areas. This entire 395 region is now in that. So that means that you get priority with many different grants and stuff like that. So something good to know.
Yeah.
Remember I said that originally and it was just half of Thompson?
I do remember that,
Now it's the whole core.
interesting.
Great.
That's- That is a very interesting update, yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, it's so you have like the northwest and the northeast that are just completely covered. So it's good. So like when people go like get housing tax credits and stuff like that, like they get like 30% bonuses and there's a lot of different things. You should look into it. It's a DDA area. So
which DDA stand for?
difficult developmental area.
Difficult developmental area.
Because what
Okay.
that means is that the cost of the land, utilities, labor and stuff like that far exceeds the income in the area. So they make that a difficult developmental area. So,
Okay.
and there's actually areas too, like in my hometown, Madison, I actually have it too. You know what I mean? So,
Okay, great. That'll lead to some more grant opportunities.
oh yeah, well,
well, and we can talk about it later, but there are in fact other grant opportunities that I believe will be available to us thanks to the passage of 8002, but we'll talk about it under.
there's a lot of money coming up. You know, I mean, everybody's, comments, oh, administration, everything's, they're taking all the money. That's BS. It's actually, there's more coming in. So up in this area anyway. So we're in good shape. We're ready.
All right. So actually, we were coming up to the item that you usually talk to us about is 6:30 Riverside Drive.
Hey, so I'm not late.
Your timing
not
is
late.
perfect, Robert.
You're not
Right.
late.
It took me an hour and 20 minutes to get here. I don't know why it's usually like an hour and 15, but anyway, all right, a couple things because we didn't meet last month, also on EDC. So, I was able to give them a lot of updates. We recorded a document, with the land records, which we actually have to record the other one too. We recorded the tax abatement, but we have to record the actual tax sale agreement too. So I'm here today to do that as well. So,
You'll have to see the town clerk.
yeah,
Renee is no longer your town clerk.
okay.
She is now merely a citizen.
All right.
For the end, huh?
Hey, listen, bittersweet, right? Yeah, all right. So, yeah. So we're moving right along fast and furious. Couple of things. I had a preliminary, prior to Tim getting his fingers on, and really diving into this, a preliminary environmental due diligence phased redevelopment evaluation done. About 43 pages and I perused through it. Basically, just to get another set of eyes on it, just to ensure that a phased redevelopment as you're making your way towards the areas of concern is actually feasible. And what I read and what I already knew is accurate. A phased redevelopment strategy is technically feasible, regulatory compliant, and highly recommended. So we're in good shape there.
Perfect.
And Tim's gonna put his seal of approval on it. That's my LEP from EKI Environmental, so.
So Tim didn't do that report.
Tim didn't do
That's
this report, but
that's
this
an
report is going to him as a preliminary.
very good.
You know what I mean? So he's got, plenty, which we've already talked about it anyway. I'm actually have an offer on a building in Stonington where it was, and you're doing the same thing with the mill. Where it's literally this massive mill and they cut it straight in half with a firewall. And the whole thing was contaminated. Somebody bought half and cleaned it, and the other side is contaminated, like literally like the same building. So I mean, I'm like 300 feet away from any minor areas of concern. So I mean, to start a development right on, Park Street, we're totally good with that. Another thing is, once we get closer, I know we talked about this, but this is actually becoming a very important part of this. I want to start getting involved in some community engagement to figure out what businesses people want here. Because the reality is that if we can listen to the residents and really figure out what they want, that's so easy to just go like, somebody wants a nail salon. We call up some nail salons. They're like, hey, listen, I got like, 700 women that want a freaking nail salon. You know what I mean? So it's a simple sell. You know what I mean? So, and I'm just saying nail salon, it could be anything, but, and I've also have a big contact who's a very, very successful, grocery person,
Mhm.
in the grocery industry, does a lot of stuff in Manhattan and stuff like that. That I've been talking to, is actually, a connection to somebody that does that. And, to do something like a market with like, local, bringing the local beef from all the farmers and stuff like that. The, local fish, grower crops, stuff like that, plus have the grocery element all incorporated. I think that's gonna be awesome here. You gotta drive to Dudley, Mass. You go to a grocery store or Putnam, right?
Or Webster.
Yes, in fact, those very words have been in several grant applications that I've written over the
Yeah,
years,
yeah.
right, exactly that. We've always talked about that being a part of it.
Yeah.
I think the working strategy that we've been used is once you actually own it,
Yeah,
then let's hit that. I think that
Yeah.
that's still the same.
Mhm.
But absolutely, I think we should be putting together one of those sort of public wish list sort of charrettes and, what are your priorities? Because that totally aside from the fact that it gives you targets for what to try to solicit,
Mhm.
and also what we can go back to that commercial realtors group and say, hey,
Right.
these are the kinds of tenants we're looking for.
Mhm.
It increases the public buy-in,
Oh, yeah.
right? So that's absolutely important.
Yeah, and one other thing too, I don't know if the residents really realize how lucky they are to have an administration that actually knows what they want in town. I work in some towns where the administration doesn't even know what they want. You literally have to grab them by the hand and show them what they need to get things done. So it's like you got to sell the residents, which is hard enough as it is, but you also got to sell the administration too. And it happens over time, but it's like almost 10 times as much work, realistically.
I'm
Because
sure that
it's
it
like,
is.
this is a no-brainer. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? Or they'll write this big housing proposal or something like that and just do nothing with it. It's like, okay, whatever. So kudos to you guys.
Robert, are you actually gonna have the square footage for, I know it's a small grocery type setup, but is there, I could see a nail salon, but even the smallest of grocery type buildings that would offer fresh meats and produce and
Yeah.
some grocery items,
Mhm.
it takes some square footage.
Oh, yeah, roughly.
I wasn't picturing anything.
Yeah,
that
maybe
big.
like a 2,500 square feet, something like that, just a footprint, nothing like a.
No, I
massive.
don't expect it to be like the dollar store, but
No.
you still need to have sufficient.
Right, so I don't have the plan up there, but when you look at my design, right, you know where the greenhouses were?
Mhm.
So next to that, we had space for doing like a farm to table restaurant or a market, something like that. we've got plenty of.
So you're not talking like the first floor of one of the condos for something like that?
No, this would
In
be
that
something
separate area?
right next to like, where it starts tapering down
Yeah.
into the flood zone,
Mm-hmm,
right there.
okay.
You know what I mean? So, we'll raise it up a little bit. We could also, if push came to shove and if we had to, we could also apply for like a flood map amendment through the town. Where if we needed to bring in some fill in order to develop certain areas of where the flood zone is, just to raise it up, if we're doing a big development. There is opportunity, but I don't think we need to. But, we'll look at it. I'm not talking about the wetlands, I'm talking about the
No,
flood zone.
no, I'm just thinking the infrastructure part.
Yeah,
of it.
yeah.
Again, being a retailer,
Mhm.
obviously you're not building a 150,000 square foot Walmart.
No,
But for, I'm thinking back to growing up where you used to have the meat market up the hill and everyone would go to the
Mhm.
butcher and stuff.
Mhm.
But also that you need parking as well, because people can't just
Yeah,
go there and take parking that is meant for the people who live in the condos. You've got to
Mhm.
have a place.
Oh,
You'll have walkers certainly
Yeah.
from that area,
Yeah.
but people around town might want to go there and need to have access to it.
yeah, right, and we got plenty of parking. Terry and I have talked about this multiple
Yeah,
times.
if anything, I think his original plan was over parked, but,
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
wanna have
like
it comfort-
huge parking lots,
yeah.
but you do need a place where you
I
can
wanna
go
be
where you're not
comfortable.
gonna stop there.
Yeah, right. No, I want it to be comfortable. And another thing is we have a meeting with David Kors on.
the 21st.
Right? Okay.
Mhm.
We should talk maybe about, some infrastructure, maybe sidewalks and stuff like, we'll have that conversation.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that later on the agenda. There's
Yeah,
Other,
because that'll be good, to have,
Business.
sidewalks, you walk from, because the way the development is set up, you have the guardhouse, which is right on top of the road.
Mm.
And then you have the retail around it. So to be able to walk from like the market to that, easily is really gonna make that area pop.
Right, well, it's gonna tie right into the new sidewalks and.
I know.
budget.
I have
Yes.
every intention of walking to every single thing in there.
Yeah. So community engagement is gonna be big. You know what I mean? Because the reality is I've got a pretty good, I feel anyway, established pretty good relationship with a lot of residents here. Like if I go to like, Nomad or something like that, or what, what's the name of the place over there? The market up there. What's
Dollar General?
the one in, way up in town that has the nice dessert.
Alamode?
Alamo,
Yeah.
no bad. Thinking of Westport.
No, bad, yeah.
No, yeah. Alamo. I go in there and I see people and I'm like, they're like, hey, Robert. I'm like, hey, what's up? You know what I mean? So it's like a small town feel, you know what I mean? So I've got a pretty good connection with the residents here and to do community engagement, I think would be a real hit. And I think people enjoy it.
Yeah, that's absolutely on the
Mhm.
sort of, as soon as we're ready, we're gonna
Yeah,
start doing that.
yeah.
And what did you have in mind for that, like a community meeting or put like a survey up in the town's website? What would you like
There's
to?
a little bit of everything. We do a website, with engagement on the website, I mean, it wouldn't be really, I don't think social media is appropriate.
We can work with EDC's marketing person for online
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
We have the actual EDC web page that you can link to through the town's website. They have all the access to our social media and a newsletter that they send out. So we have online.
Yeah, Todd's good.
We have online opportunities for promotion, and then I think, yes, also an in-person, at least one in-person event.
Yeah, because the in-person events is like kind of the same people coming, it might not even necessarily be representative of that neighborhood, and they might not even really know, so. Some way of kind of, like you said, like reaching out to the people
Yeah.
really who can walk there.
Yeah, I mean, just anybody in town that
Anybody.
just says. we want- they want-
It's gonna have to pull from all town and other towns, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, but either way, we're gonna have it. I mean, it's gonna be great to have a vote and have, people want X, Y, and Z. People are already supportive of the project. Now we just gotta figure out what they want. Cause I don't wanna put something there that nobody wants. I wanna put something there everybody's gonna use, I'd be like, you guys wanted this. Let's, come on, do the little ribbon cutting and all that stuff. It'd be good.
Right, we have the opportunity to not necessarily be laissez-faire about it, as opposed to a private piece of property goes up. Right, we had all those people who were coming, we don't need another pizza shop. Well, that was a private transaction. We had no input into it, and that's what it is. But in this case, we have upfront opportunity to to solicit the interest, and then following that to specifically solicit the tenants.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it's just a different kind of project.
And I do have a gentleman too, and I know you have the post office there. But I mean, this would be like a small little space on one of them, whatever, I know we're trying to go for the vibrancy thing, the market, the restaurants, all that stuff. But I do have a gentleman that has, access to a company that does an all-in-one shipping, which is like FedEx, USPS, Amazon, the whole thing, all in one store, which is and it's a small little space. Really cool to think about.
I think so too. There's one in Putnam.
Yeah, it's a
That-
killer.
And
They're
they're
always
very
busy.
busy. So I
Yes.
think that's a very good.
That's it, and I'm probably gonna partner in that one. Yeah, because you'll be surprised how much money I'm gonna put back into the town, because things that are gonna come my way that I like, I'm gonna probably get involved in. To be honest with you,
Very nice.
I believe in it. I believe in town. I do. I believe in the town. That's why I'm here every week or every month.
I really like the size of the Putnam supermarket.
I know the one you're talking about.
No,
The corner of Church Street?
Yeah, the one on Church Street, like it's,
Wise's Market.
Yeah.
it's like, it's definitely a walkable community grocery store, but they do have everything. And how many square foot would you guys think that is?
I don't know, but it's certainly a fraction of what we think of now as a conventional grocery store. And every time I drive by it, I am amazed that it stays in business, and I'm so happy that it stays in business.
But it's so convenient in the park, and there's usually only 6 cars in the parking lot or something. So it's not using up a ton of parking because it's a store that you can go in so quick, in and out.
Yeah.
It's busy.
It's really
I'll take a peek at it. I
The
like to see.
building itself is all obviously like super old and run down, but it's just a square that they managed to fit in everything.
They also have the competition of the big stores next to them, which we don't. So it's like, we're gonna be like, oh, okay. So Dollar General, fill me in on their food. It's just like canned goods. and stuff.
It's all packaged food.
Yeah, it's all
Yeah,
prepackaged
okay.
and
Yeah,
some
we're gonna be all
stuff.
fresh.
They were
Fresh.
talking, now, I. heard-
Dollar Generals in general, and I don't know about this one because I
Okay.
never go into it, have added a certain amount of
Fresh. Sort of fresh.
sort of fresh food, yeah. Like
I
red delicious
hear
apples and
something
bananas and things that are high volume movers. I mean, I
Yes.
think
Even potatoes, onions, carrots, I mean, it would be great if they could just have a miniature.
Right.
Even Walmart started with that first in the smaller
Yeah.
stores with their grocery area where they couldn't do, and we call it fresh, whether it's frozen or it's still the fresh department.
Yeah.
They brought in produce first and it wasn't very good quality produce, but
Mhm.
that was kind of their step into then expanding and bringing in the full fresh.
The trend is still going towards organics.
Yeah, all day. And the thing is, if we could grow some of it.
But I'm saying that fresh organic
Yeah.
type stuff is
Mhm.
very high demand.
Speaking of which, how are your conversations going with our friend Faye?
Good. I'm waiting to hear back from her, just going back and forth. Somebody pitched, doing some micro farming, building a small little farm in a little area. It's a conversation. I mean, it's, nothing materialized yet, but.
As we're talking about this. Actually, local. We are a farming town, so
Right.
we can't forget that. We don't want to compete.
No,
with
no.
our
I want to
farms.
actually
I could
bring
see
that stuff.
happening. I could see that happening
Mhm.
in a localized
Mm.
grocery store, then maybe we can get our produce cheaper somewhere else, and I just see that being,
Yeah,
could be
You're right, you're
potentially.
still looking at profit.
I think you have to be very careful.
I'm wondering
So
if there should be more
I've
of that
wrote-
co-op type
Well,
thing.
you
Well,
partner
I've
with-
broached this topic a little bit
With that.
with, mostly with Blackie, but yes,
New
the
Boston Beef.
conversation in general. And actually, especially since New Boston Beef came on, I mean, the two real producers, where you could get local and to some extent Kai's place too, although that's like a shed almost where she's offering. When I was early on talking to Blackie about like a farmer's market, what he said to me was, nobody here has the time. Everybody who wants to do farmers markets is already doing them. The market is oversaturated, and that's high labor for the farms themselves. They've got to either send an employee away or hire a new employee to cover this.
Right.
However, the idea of being involved in the co-op, having a place where their products come, right, where they're still earning a profit, but not necessarily having to contribute the labor. That was, he thought from go, a more feasible option. And then just how would that work? Right, how do you limit? I mean, maybe New Boston Beef doesn't want to send their product out. That's a different conversation.
Right.
But they probably want to at least have some presence there. You know, Blackmer Beef is in several places around, and they do farmers markets. So there's options. The point is, much like having the conversation with the residents as to what they want to see in the spaces, having the conversation with the local producers, of
Sure.
whom there is a
Yeah.
small handful, to say, how does this best work for you?
Right.
And just making sure that that is incorporated into that plan.
Yeah, and I don't think, you know, I mean, I'm not in the industry, but I don't think importing like or fish or whatever, I don't know how much money you're gonna save. Like a local person that's doing it right then and there, I would think it would be more reasonable to get it locally personally. I don't know for sure though, I'm not in the industry. So, you know what I mean? But it's definitely a conversation, and I like, the hometown feel is better for me. You know what I mean? I've always said at the beginning, local fish, local beef, local produce. Then you have all the potato chips and all that other stuff that you can still get locally if people are making them. I don't know, people are making.
Well, that ties into
Soda
the
and all that
65
stuff.
Main concept and developing food system businesses,
Right.
but these are long-term plans that were, but
Tell
there are
people
other
to
people
call.
doing value
I
add.
want to talk to them. I give my cell phone number. I was doing a public presentation last night in a town. I told everybody my cell phone number to put on the minutes. That's how I am.
Please don't
So-
do that here.
Why not? All I gotta do is look me up. I'm all over the, you know, the newspapers and stuff. They find me all the time.
So anyway, where are you, Bob, with, Robert, with the, acquiring it completely?
So, gonna finish the foreclosure. That's the key. So right now, we're in the legal process of, you know, being served, the owner being served. I'm in communication with Andy Scott. He's been great, by the way. He calls me up. He's like, how can we do this faster? So I think there might be some incentives for him to actually get it done at this point. Tax wise and stuff. So.
Well, I think he wants to get out from under it.
Yeah.
That is right. Especially with the other mill movement.
Right. So he's, you know, he's been great. You know, he called me before the end of the year. He's like, can we do it before the end of the year? I'm like, I shouldn't have a mortgage. Get rid of the mortgage somehow. He's like, I can't find them. I said, neither can I. So I got
That's your.
that's the only thing holding us up is the mortgage.
How does that time frame look?
It's a 4 to 6 month process. So
Add 2 months to that because everything adds 2
it's,
months.
yeah, it's up to the courts. He's not
No,
gonna
but I
fight.
mean, you're into it for how far now? When you started the process?
2 months.
Before that, 2 months.
2 months, yeah.
So hopefully
It's all up
by
to the
June,
courts. Yeah.
in a perfect world.
So I'm praying for spring. I hope, but it's up to the courts. We can't make it move any faster, right? I asked my lawyer, can I give you more money? He's like, it's not. I mean, think about it. For me, I'm already invested tens of thousands of dollars here. The faster I get there, the better. Because I've already got a plan with, and not to mention, I mentioned this at EDC, I've already engaged a civil engineer. So my guy from Norwalk is actually gonna come up here and do the test holes, spend a day and eat lunch here and do all that, you know, take them to a local restaurant or whatever. And we're gonna spend some time. And also have my excavator in place already. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring in a brush hog and we're gonna clear out phase 1. And then we're gonna run strips all through the park, you know, all the entire lot, where we can anyway, and start doing test holes, because in order for the brownfield grant, we need to get a preliminary sketch with all the topography and all that, which I already have. But we gotta have test holes in place to kind of give them at least like a 30% set of drawings, so they know, you know, okay, this is what the development's gonna be. You know what I mean? So, and we're getting there. They haven't released the date for their round of funding yet.
Not yet, but as I recall, that comes out in late January.
Yeah.
I think they do 2 rounds a year, one in late January and one maybe in September. I want to say is when the second one comes out, but
Yeah.
if we're still talking about this round, then you and Tim and I should definitely sit down as soon as that comes out.
Yeah, I was with Tim till late last night. We were going over a bunch of stuff, so we're talking about this quite a bit, so. Yeah, but it's moving, it's up to the courts. Make it go any, you know?
We're still on schedule, I think is the main point.
Yeah,
There's
and
nothing,
it's still
there's
moving
nothing
ahead.
really
Yeah,
holding
oh.
us back.
We gotta fly here, you know, whatever I can do, you know. I don't know any judges. You know, but at least I got Andy Scott on board, and he's been awesome.
First time I've heard that about.
I talked to him quite a bit. He's
So I think we can, unless anybody on the Zoom room has any questions for Robert, any questions?
Hey, it's Ryan. I have one real quick. I was wondering if we could have a discussion, maybe, it doesn't have to be here today, but maybe on the energy side about what you guys are doing. Since I am probably one of the more experts in the town and in the state on the subject. So I heard him talking about heat pumps before, and you know, there could be some interesting things that I would be able to present to him. So not for this call today, but just wanted to throw that out there as something that should be probably thought about a little more and could be helpful. I'd like to be able to help on that.
Brian, thank you. There's a lot of things that we're exploring right now. We were trying to do a geothermal pilot. We got no response from them.
I got to be honest with you, man. That's a really bad idea. I've run some traps on that, and I know Tira proposed that, but it's not something that you want to experiment with the amount of capital you're putting up and with somebody's fantasy idea. It's and especially Eversource, that's not the kind of people you probably want to partner with. I'm just being really straight with you.
And it was tough. It was tough to try.
You got to listen to people that actually understand energy, not people that are masters of none. But I think we could have a really productive discussion, and I would love to help you on that front. And it doesn't cost anything to work with me, so just want to help out.
I can tell you this much, that in other homes that I'm doing, we've been exploring these ductless split units that we're doing in these condos, and we are actually we've made a change. We've actually shifted to low ambient ones because some of the stuff that they're selling in like the some of the distributors, they don't heat past 4 degrees. Got to get them that go under 0. So I learned that pretty quickly. I mean, I didn't put one in that was that. I learned it before I started putting them in. So we're doing the low ambient ones, which are more expensive, but I mean, you're saving quite a bit putting them in too. I also have flat roofs, so there is the potential of doing solar, to help with the utility costs, but I don't want to do anything that is going to be detrimental to the price points of the units. We want to keep the units relatively low. You know as well as I do with the energy codes, it's completely the energy codes now. For like R60 and the ceilings and all that. That is like for like Arctic temperatures. It's completely. But do it anyway. We do it anyway, and we do the hybrid open cell, closed cell spray foam insulation and all that. These things are going to hold heat and AC like unbelievably. So I mean, it's for energy, and the utilities probably won't be as much. So I mean, we're good. I mean, we're calculated with this. I mean. I do this for a living every day of my life, brother.
Yeah, I hear you. No, it's good. I'm glad you had some thought on that front. I can send you over some materials. I can just email you offline. We don't need to go through it all on the call. I just wanted to bring it up because it was something on my mind. I appreciate your response. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for the comment, Brian. Then I guess at this point we can move on to C River Mill update.
are, in the same position in terms of the contract. There was one outstanding document that I now have been going back and forth with DECD on. We had closed the document loop, and then DECD's attorney came back and said they need an evidence of builder's risk. And Slater and Pam and I were all like, what is this for? There's no builder involved. So they were asking for one from the abatement contractor, designer. So I contacted them. They said, we don't provide those for design. So now I've sent that back and saying, if this is the last thing, based on all the information I have, it appears that this is not applicable at this point in the project. That was Monday of this week. I sent a follow-up email yesterday and have not seen a response back. My expectation is that they will go, oh, that's not the actual abatement contractor? Yeah, you don't need that, but I can't say that for sure. So again, once that final document is closed, and I've had a series of conversations with DECD's attorneys over the last few weeks, like, you guys are killing us. You keep asking us to refresh documents. Sets us back. We can't continue to pay the local social cost of not having this contract in place. It's got forward. I think the attorneys fundamentally understand, but they are acting at the request of their client, who is the state, who has high accountability thresholds. So it becomes this endless loop.
Yeah.
But if the state wants to invest millions of dollars in projects, it's more than just sending a letter of award. The funds have to flow. If the funds don't flow, it damages everybody's credibility,
Right.
which is the point that I'm now increasingly making. Just move it.
Right.
I think everybody understands the same arguments, and hopefully my last impassioned plea on the phone to their attorney will shake that loose. So I'm as cautiously optimistic as I've been all along. Maybe with let's call it within this quarter. Let's just say within this quarter. But Eagle has put a pin in the abatement design, because months ago we were at this point where I was like, oh yeah, they're telling me that I'm going to have the contract soon. So we went and started that. I've been billed. I can't pay them. They know, so they're waiting until the contract is executed to go back. So it just keeps pushing and pushing, but it is what it is. It's outside our control, other than me getting on the phone or emailing and saying, well, what's going on? So.
Yeah, and from someone that's outside of town, I can tell the residents, anybody that's listening on the phone, you got a pit bull with Tara. So she's doing everything she can. Trust me, because this stuff isn't easy, to get done. So, you're on it. So.
Nick, do you want to talk about any of the other stuff, or do we want to leave that?
No, I'm good for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting, because that kind of is a segue into the next item I had in the agenda, which was feedback that I personally received at the Ask Me Anything event. I have to say 80% of the people who spoke to me were asking about the river mill. Where it's at, what the process is at. And so I told them, and people do understand, that there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes, and you just can't see anything yet on the site. But Dan Bennett was actually the one who had what the idea is, can any kind of sign be put up? Whether it's one of those state mandated signs, like we received a grant project funded by.
Well, that is a requirement of that grant, and the contractor is required to put it up.
Yeah, we're asking Gumper even coming soon, even just to, just something.
To show this movement.
A sign. And so I kind of thought that was a great idea. I told him, I'm going to put it on the agenda for our next meeting.
The only thing about coming soon, you have to be careful about it. Coming soon up
Soon.
there is way too long.
Soon.
But I do
needs
like
to be
the
dated up.
In progress. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what the wording would be, but.
But the sound. Cleanup funds, right? I missed that
Right.
conversation.
Yeah.
That would be great. I mean,
Yeah, there will be a requirement
Okay,
as part of the brownfield grant.
that's what I was hoping.
Every big state project requires that you put one up.
Okay,
So, and that burden usually falls on the contractor to produce it out of their funds, but.
It's probably back to giving more public feedback notifications, putting it on the home page of the town. Nick may do one of his weekly updates, whatever it may be doing. Project is here, it's in the state's hands, we're finalizing documents. Time process.
right.
Yeah, and just as updated
And even say stuff like, you may not see anything on the outside of the building, but inside there's contractors who are doing environmental work, or I don't know.
I mean, which was the case when Eagle was in there. There were contractors in there doing gap
Right.
closing and testing, and but yeah, nobody can see.
So,
It's tough to be held by paperwork.
right,
You know?
right.
That's why it was so critical for me to start putting foundations in the ground, while I'm waiting for that stuff, because who knows, you know what I mean, but,
Right.
is it not worth calling legislators to say, hey, you know what, is there anything you can do to push this along for us?
I can try. I think the best result I would get would be from calling Scanlon. Because I actually have had conversations with him when I did that walking tour of the neighborhood with him last year, actually about this time. I brought that very thing up, like, hey, comptroller, guy who looks at where the money is going, can you help look and see why this takes so freaking long?
And here we are a year later.
Well, there was some motion right around that. Like, I started getting, there was something I was waiting for at that time from one of the other grant, and I got that one piece. And then things seemed like they were moving, and then they ground to a halt again. So that is something that, yeah, is probably worth me going, hey, Sean, nice to talk to you again. Can you poke somebody at DECD and say, we understand that you want this to be a completely airtight level of accountability, but again, nobody's credibility benefits, not ours, not theirs, from a promise of funding that is now 5 years old. 5 years we've been sitting on this grant.
Oh, come on.
Yes,
I didn't realize that.
We're going into an election year this year,
I know.
so
Well, that actually might be a reason why something might shake loose.
Yes.
So I will,
start shaking the trees.
I will do that. In fact, and I'm certain that they love hearing from me.
Oh, they ain't gonna hold us on my thing, that's
But,
what.
give you that for yourself and.
Yeah, I
Just like-
will definitely reach out to Comptroller Scanlon.
I mean, just like when we were going to DEP up in Hartford, trying to get this thing
Right.
moving along, and we were going up and back in the project, and it carried a lot of weight.
Yeah.
I do have a con call, speaking of DEEP, with DEEP and Pam and Wayne on Monday. So we are keeping in touch with the environmental side on the regular, but the money's not coming from them, so they can't help us with that. But I got
Julie, okay, Julie, mute yourself.
Joanne, I gotta toss you on mute. We're getting that background noise again. Just take yourself off if you want to comment.
Sure.
Thank you. So I guess somebody else might have something about ask me anything, but the other comment I got that I said I would put on our agenda is Mr. Linky, John was talking about positive benefits of increased collaboration with the Planning and Zoning Commission or the Economic Development Commission. I think he was thinking if the members could get copies of our minutes or something in their packets. Just so that they would know what was going on. I don't know. I said I would bring it to the attention.
The only thing I would say is that that's additional trees we're killing, and those minutes are online. Open your computer,
Okay.
everybody's got the computer or the phone.
Yeah, the
let's just
P&Z
add the
packets are
level of-
over 100 pages sometimes.
It's not digital?
No,
In the regulations that
Okay.
we rewrote, it is supposed to be digital delivery with a couple of hard copies for file purposes and whatever. But we have a number of folks who are more comfortable handling the paper. So every month, 13 packets get made.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. I thought maybe to a few people who might,
That was how it was supposed to be. If you want the paper, opt into the paper,
Right.
everybody else goes digital. But more of them want the paper. And what? I give up.
okay, like I said, I'm passing along some feedback from asking.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
it's JBL. My whole intent behind that is that with what MSRAC is doing, you're doing all the preliminary work, getting things done. So whatever, if somebody like Tara said and everything, they can go online and review the thing, which you can't pass on to your members of the MSRAC and stuff. But what that intent is that by doing all the preliminary work, so when any developer or Robert himself, when it finally comes down to the nitty gritty where they have to come in front of the P&Z, you will have some good information, and what he brings to us can help us make a better decision to move things along. Because this project that he wants to do, I'm 150% plus in on it now. And the way he is trying to do things, I like it. I can't get any better than that. But I think the communication between MSRAC and us could help us with a lot of other things that we're trying to bring into this town, for small businesses and et cetera, et cetera. And that's pretty much what my intent was. Maybe I got a little off board on it a little bit, but is to keep that transparency between us and the lower, like the MSRAC, the EDC and all of that stuff. So nobody has to go chasing, but it's best that you put it in you let your members know that they can go online. And if not, they can download it like anybody else does. Like me, sometimes I download the minutes of the meeting or what is sent to me, and everything it can be done. It's very simple. Thank you.
you're welcome. Thanks for the comment. Anybody have anything else on that program? Ask me anything come out of it that?
Well, for whatever it's worth, the little working group that's put together, the Citizens Academy, is going to be today at 1. I put online a week or so after the event the summary of the Q&A that we got, or at least the ones that were captured in the notes. So that's me, Jess Bolte, Marie in the selectman's office, and RJ, who is one of the recording secretaries, but had some experience putting like communications programs together in the town he used to live in. So we're going to look at like how many weeks do we want to run it, what are the topics, and then start to try to figure out who would take the lead on any one of those given sessions. And then we'll put it out there and see if we get any interest. Renee and I were talking about that again right
10 years
before.
ago.
Well, I haven't been here for 10 years.
Right.
You may have been talking about it with somebody else 10 years ago.
Yeah.
5 years ago, you and I were talking about it, and that's why we did the first Ask Me Anything, and then COVID shut everything down. So this is actually sort of going back to something we wanted to do years ago.
I see that, obviously there's going to be somebody leading it, but I think each department should take responsibility. I think that's, and I want to say, John, that was great about the communication and keeping that open. And I do respect that comment. I think that was a good point. That was one of the complaints when we started with branding. It was that the departments didn't talk to each other. Never mind commission. So good point, John.
And I think Yacino made that same comment actually at the Ask Me Anything, which was that it was great for the volunteers who dial in, come in once a month to see each other and talk about stuff. So that was a sort of a side benefit.
So that it doesn't land on one person's shoulders, like it's not a project that Tierra Penn's running, it's a project that the town departments are, and commissions and boards are doing.
Agreed. So we have to have buy-in.
So I'm just saying, like, just spread that around.
Right. Well, that's part of what we're going to be discussing today too. Like if we're picking topics that were of interest, and then we go and solicit somebody to take the lead on that topic, is that person going to follow up? And this is a place where some of our things have fallen down in the past. Like
Well,
we've had enthusiasm, like, yes, I want to help. And then, okay, help us schedule it with you. And then those people.
And not to take up any of this meeting's time, but I think this is something that would start with Nick at department head meetings. This is what we'd like to do. And he or the board should try to get buy-in from all the departments. It shouldn't be, oh, could you please do it? You know, you should, as the assessor, want to be doing it, or as the rec director wanting to be doing. It's actually part of your responsibility. Kind of like, oh, yeah, but that's my 2 cents. Shut up, Eric.
I think that 2 cents was worth at least a nickel.
Right. I actually learned a lot from the tax collector that asked me anything, because he was thrilled with how much tax revenue he's now getting from Gumper. You know.
There you go. There you go. So there's your Ask Me Anything wrap up.
All right. So anything on the deep grant?
Which deep grant did we, the one we just sent in?
Well, I guess you should tell everybody that we just sent one.
Oh, that's right, because we didn't have a meeting in December.
Right.
So, Janet and I blitzed a grant application out in like 2.5 days to Deep for some green stormwater management activities on municipal property. So library, town hall, most of it at the school, or at least half of it at the school. And that followed a presentation we had from a student team at Yukon Clear, where they came out and they did an assessment and they made some suggestions. And at the end of their presentation, they said, oh, and by the way, here's this zero match grant program that's open right now. So we went back and forth a little bit with DPW, and I had to wait a little while to get some responses from the school as to whether they, would also agree to what was proposed up there. And so we were able to send it out. I did it so fast. I don't even remember how much money I asked for. I want to say it was like $350,000.
And what are the activities?
So a couple of rain gardens or detention basins up here, a green roof here on the flat roof opposite the upper parking lot, and another rain garden at the library in the area where the ECCD grant is already ripping out that invasive barberry. So that would be a replacement for that invasive barberry. So a lot of stuff that kind of works together.
And a water quality swale in the high school parking lot.
Yes.
And the thing about these is if there's a grant to do this, then I don't see why the town can't take credit for all this stormwater disconnection that they're required to do under their MS4 permit without spending a penny. So that's like a big benefit,
We're running late.
that the town can get from this.
What's the green roof lot? What does that consist of?
So it consists of putting a little, the grant that I submitted included doing a re-roof of the flat roof, first of all. And then you put like a platform, and then on the platform, you plant it. And there's different ways you can plant it. There are companies that specialize in it. So I got some, rough estimates and types.
Didn't we just have that roof done?
About 8 years ago.
Well, regardless, I built in money to have it redone again, because whatever it was done for before, it wasn't done anticipating having a roof full of garden
No, the
material.
flat roof was put on because it was time in it. As all membrane roofs, it was done,
Yeah.
which has about a 20-year lifespan.
Well, there's a structural
But that's the biggest thing,
component that
structural.
a structural engineer would have to evaluate it for the weight.
Right, so all that stuff's built in.
And they're like, the system that UConn proposed was actually kind of cool. It looked like they were like 2 feet by 3 foot trays that set in a grid, and each one has like a layer of, like 9 inches of material, like with that a plant can grow. So it's not like shrubs, it's more like
It's like sedums and ground
sedums
covers.
and ground covers. So instead of just seeing the black asphalt, it would look like, greens and golds and stuff, and then it just treats the storm.
Yeah, in theory, it's great. It's the structural that can be a
Yeah.
very big problem.
Right.
Right, and there are firms that specialize in it, and yes, structural engineering assessment was built in. All of that stuff was built in. So off the top of my head, I think it was about a $350,000 ask. And then I think the notification is first quarter this year, but I don't, like I say, we blasted this thing out.
And it could prove to be infeasible. You said that to me is the one that I would have the most question that. Can it be done? Do people want it done? Can it be afforded?
If it leaks, it leaks into my office, so I would be the one paying for that.
That's why we did the room.
Yes.
All right. Everybody else set with EEP grants? Then the last item on the agenda is other or new committee business.
I'll just say that there's been some interest in the property you initially looked at, 659.
Oh, yeah, I was talking to Joe last night.
Okay, yeah, I didn't want to spring this one on
Yeah,
you.
no, it's all good. It's got its challenges. This was 659 Riverside. This is the one that actually originally brought me to town. It's got its challenges. I mean, it's.
Right, so the synopsis of this is, Robert decided not to pursue that, which is
Not
reasonable.
now. I'm booked. 6:30 is my baby right now.
Right, which, by the way, I'm all in on.
Yeah.
So the owner contacted me late last week or whatever and said, can you help me shop this around? Now, what we all know about that property is that the bad actor who gravelled it, stripped all the topsoil, and created some wetlands where there were no wetlands before, left that property in a compromised position. So from my perspective, anybody who takes that on has to be essentially a one-stop shop, right? Because similarly with what happened with St. Joe's and then putting that back out for sale, is they were finding it expensive because they were having to subcontract out pieces, and it was adding layers and layers to their cost. So because of Robert, I now have a relationship with Joe Fiola at Montagno Construction. So I called him and I said, hey, here's the deal. I think you and your firm have capacity to look at this. The owner appears to be willing to let it go now at a reduced price. Will you look at it, and do you think that you can make it work? So he and I had some conversations about it, which included some conversations about what kind of infrastructure money might be available through the 8002 initiatives. And I can't say for certain that Montagno is going to pursue this, but they are actively looking at it. And so if they are able to take and renovate and, fix the problems on that property, accommodating for the fact that now there are wetlands where there were none, then that could be a real burden lifted off the corridor before it becomes like a 20-year problem like some of the others. So,
And I would probably partner with them on it. I'm partnering with them on something else in my hometown that we're going after. But basically, just to fill you guys in on what it is, I don't know if you know the history. I'll be in 2 minutes. So the previous owner, what he did was stripped all the fill. Then he made you have Whitmore that comes to the property. He made a pond right there, so you can't access it. He literally made a pond, and we've taken, I walked it with wetlands and zoning. There's vernal pools in there, so there's like tadpoles and all that. So it's like, now it's untouchable. Then the other side going up, right around that curve, I forgot the name of it. She's a Mason.
Mason Terrace.
Mason, right. So you would actually have to blast and do a culvert. I've done this before in other towns. You have to blast and do a culvert over the wetlands to get up, and you did the engineering over there. So, you gotta blast, do a culvert, unless you have a better idea, but that's, hammering is very expensive too. But you know what I mean, you'd have to blast, get a culvert, get access, so you have one access. Then you have to reclaim the site, you gotta bring all this fill back in that this guy got rid of, which is, it could be $1 million, I mean, it's worthless to the bank is, they're, shame on them for giving out so much money on it. Then you have to, so my vision with that, if I was to take that tomorrow, would be to do a phased reclamation. You bring soil in for a phase, you know, for one phase, maybe 10 homes or something, whatever goes there. Just, you know, like I said, my focus is 630 right now, so that's down the road if it ever happens. But then, you know, then you start building, then you get your COs for that phase, and then you know, similar to what I'm doing at 630. But you also have to have an educated engineer, and we have an engineer in the room actually, so I can speak with you on this. We would actually have to devise a plan to almost relocate the wetlands in a methodical manner. Then maybe we can get access from Whitmore. We could talk about that down the road if that's something. And then we also would need is that in the mill redevelopment zone?
Mhm.
It is, right? Okay, so that's solved that problem. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So at least you're in that zone. You know, and the thing is too, you know, I'm not just looking at 630. I would like to be involved in some other stuff along Route 12. So, you know, I wanted to ask you, who owns that mill next to Dunkin' Donuts? It's right next to my,
That's your friend.
John Tish.
Yeah.
is he at some point doing something with that?
He stores organic fertilizer in the building.
Okay. Got it. Is he gonna just stay there and just keep it boarded up and all that?
That's the way it's been for decades.
Is he still
The last business that was in there was Little Bits Plastic, and that was probably back in the 70s.
Got it. Okay. Just ask him. If he ever
But-
wants to do something with
Hey,
it.
anything is possible when it comes to, as time goes on,
Dollars
nobody
and
gets any
cents.
younger.
Yeah.
Nobody gets any younger.
Yeah.
Everybody likes an offer they can't refuse.
Yeah.
And you do have the property right next to it, which used to be Plymouth Manufacturing, between Dollar General and that
There's a piece of,
Yeah, I know.
It's raw
It's
land.
got what?
yeah, it's raw land that,
Yeah.
used to be Plymouth Manufacturing,
Mhm.
furniture and stuff back in the day, so that, I'm sure, is available.
Yeah, I know, it's on the market, and or was on the market for like 99,000 or something like that, and Joanne could probably look that up for us. You know, it's expired listing, I think, Joanne. You know, you have plenty of frontage if somebody wanted to split it and do 2 buildings or whatever, you know, because it's got like 100 feet, 40 feet of frontage. So I do my homework. And then, so I just don't know, the one key ingredient to that is soil testing, because you're right next to an old mill. And you're literally right on top of it, so you'd have to get some serious digging in there to kind of figure out what's going on, if there's anything, you know.
And you're in the floodplain and everything else
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, so, you know, I mean, it was approved for a restaurant at one point. That's what it said
I
in
have no
MLS.
idea.
Oh.
If it was before my time, so it's possible.
Yeah.
Hey, they developed it, the Dollar General one, they used to be the car wash back in
Mhm.
the early 70s.
Yeah, I'm just, you know, I'm looking at the outskirts of my development, I wanna kind of make everything look nice too,
Sure.
so.
What's, just out of curiosity, is there anything going with Quinn's? With
Um,
Camelli?
It is for sale off market right now, and it has been shopped around. That's as far as I can tell you with that.
Well, what's the deal with that? Because I know the bank took it over, we talked about this.
Yeah, so
Mike's
I know
always
what
nice
he told me, and I'm not sure that what he told me is the complete story, so I don't want to be on a
I understand,
public record
yeah,
with
I
it,
understand,
but it is being handled off market
Okay.
by a commercial broker,
Yeah.
that I can tell you.
oh, okay.
So if you're interested in that,
Yeah, well,
I think there is
I
somebody
thought-
who is actually possibly considering an offer on it as well, but again, I haven't spoken
So
to
there's
that
no
person.
movement by his plans from way back
I
at this time.
don't know, I don't think we have enough of a complete picture
Yeah,
to be doing anything
there's nothing.
speculative on meeting, so.
Yeah.
But
Nice
it's
guy.
in play, just say it's in play.
It's-
Um, So at the risk of cutting you guys short, which I never want to do, Elle and Brian and Nick and I are here for what I was going to be a 10 o'clock board meeting of the Turtle Center meeting. We're also waiting for Jeff Bolte to make the quorum, so we don't have to wrap this, but I just want to sort of make this a shorter thing to be respectful of Elle's time.
Or we try to end them after an hour, but since we missed last month, it was good to have a little bit of an extended meeting and catch up on some things, but I'm.
Yeah,
I
so
feel
the
like
only
I'm-
thing I did want to interject then
Okay.
is that Nick and I, and you said you were going to come to that?
Yeah, 21st.
Have a meeting scheduled on the 21st with David Corus. David Corus is the guy who is running the CMDA, the Connecticut Municipal Development Agency, which is a authority.
Yeah.
Okay, authority, excuse me, which is a quasi-public entity that was set up to work with municipalities specifically to position them for things like transit-oriented development and housing priority zones. A lot of the stuff, in fact, that was referenced in the bill which passed, which was HB 8002, now signed into law as Public Act 25-1, although I think people are still more familiar with the old name. There are opt-in provisions from 8002 that directly relate to CMDA and towns having access to exactly that kind of infrastructure money that we've been talking about. Like if you are doing things that position you for new transit opportunities, the state will look at, expanding your wastewater so that you can actually accommodate the density that would imply, or building in sidewalks, or like it's, so they're pretty, they've got a pretty ambitious agenda. None of those funds will be available until next year at the earliest, because they were just created by statute. So they've got to create all of the framework to make them. But the first step is having the opt-in, and that is an opt-in by resolution of the Board of Selectmen. It does not have to go to town meeting, which is crucial. And then you get access to a lot of very high level advice. So we have the initial conversation set up for the 21st. We're going to meet, we're going to see how it goes. And then I expect that Nick will take it to the board for their thoughts.
Yeah, and from an outsider and, who's involved in this on a regular basis, that money's moving pretty fast. So the faster the better, you know what I mean? Because
Well, they said they wanted to fast track it, so
and they are.
they can fast.
It's moving, so the faster, we get
If they fast track the program, that's great. If you get an award and you're sitting on it for 5 years, that's not fast.
I don't believe that's gonna be the case with him. I mean, maybe council, but David's he's a sharp guy. He's got a name.
No, I know David.
I like him.
He's great.
A good guy. So, it's a perfect thing for us. Perfect. It's money, money for the town.
So that's what I got. Jeff's not here yet, so we still don't have our quorum for our follow-up meeting, but that's what I got.
All right, well, then I only have one question. What'd you say about St. Joseph's? Is that guy went away?
It's sold.
Okay.
It's sold. So the full story, since we are waiting for Jeff, is this. The development company that bought it a couple of years ago was having trouble getting it to pencil out, again, for all those reasons. They had to subcontract, and every bid they were getting was coming back high. So they decided to list it. They weren't like hair on fire to dump it, but if they got an offer that they found amenable, they were going to sell it. It had an accepted offer less than a week. And Joanne yesterday, and you can fill us there, Joanne, sent me a list to confirm that it's sold on MLS. And I know Jamie and John have been out there and spoken to the new owners prior to that contract being finalized. So there's no reason they ever need to come in front of planning and zoning again if the permit in place. So I might not have as much interaction with them as I might with somebody coming in who needs approvals and stuff. But that's what happens.
They close, or is it just a contract?
It shows as sold on MLS. Joanne, you want?
Yeah. I sent you the listing yesterday. I think it closed on the 6th.
Oh, good, good,
Oh,
good.
yeah, and for more than asking, so.
Perfect. Good, I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I might know who that is. That might be my son Jeff. I think.
I only ever spoke to his broker. I never
Well,
spoke to him.
I'm a member of a developers forum, which is like one of some of the biggest developers in the state. This guy is like, you know, once I mentioned Thompson, you know what I mean? They're like, oh yeah, you know, Thompson's a very, you know, town come on the rise or whatever. So he's got a client that loves schools. I have a feeling it might be them. I'll find out.
Great, great. If it's somebody with
Oh, wait,
experience
it'd be great.
working with big
Big
white
schools.
elephant
Right.
schools,
Yeah.
yes.
Somebody who will actually do it, just
Yeah,
getting
you
a
gotta know,
project.
you gotta know what these things
It
cost.
needs
It's
to be
expensive.
built,
Yeah,
not just.
So
approved.
just so you know, so the mill buildings and stuff like that we're pricing out, they're like 300,000 a year. It's expensive,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Especially if you're doing historic tax credits, you literally gotta surgically kind of maneuver your units and work with them, you know, so they're not cheap. So those numbers he was getting, it's every bit of that.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally believe it.
So,
Okay,
Okay, I guess we should. Could I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
thank you. Okay, so I'm shutting off the recording and Nick is staying on for
this is for.
our next meeting.
Oh, okay.
That's for.
Okay.
Take care, folks. See you.
Joanne.
Thank you.
We did,